Looks like we're starting. Good morning. Let's see, the first line in my script is, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Gail Johnson Vaughan, but everybody knows me. And I know you, and that makes me very happy to be with you this morning. And you know that I'm filling in for Reverend Kevin last week and this week. Lucky me. Hopefully lucky you.
And are we doing building bridges?
Yes, we are. Come to think of it. So, will you please rise in body and or spirit and sing Building Bridges? Bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between our divisions. Building bridges between our divisions. Will you reach out to us? Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. I'm building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can find such sweet harmony. I'm building bridges between our divisions. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With friends in our voices and all of our visions, friends, we can find such sweet harmony. I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, with friends in our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Thank you. That was beautiful. So now that I'm remembering when I start, and that we have Zoomers with us, so I don't necessarily know that they all know who I am, I will say again that I am Gail Johnson Vaughan, and I am your worship associate for this morning, filling in for Reverend Kevin while he is on a short sabbatical. And a fun part of my role is to greet you and also to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Community of the Mountains here in Grass Valley, California. Some of us are together. I'm getting there. I'm being reminded to remind you to check your phones and see if they are turned off. Thank you, Steve. Now, if I say that again, it's because I'm following the script too carefully. So some of us are here together in the room today. Welcome. This morning we got to welcome a special group of visitors. Did you see the young people when you came in? So what that was all about is that the young religious UU of Northern California, Pacific, that was the P, YRUP, were here visiting for their quarterly retreat, Spirit Con, and they spent the night here. And it was very exciting to have them in the service this morning. So yay to them. That was really wonderful. And it's an organization, youth-led, really amazing, really supporting
these young people to have this kind of deep experience. So very special. A lot of them from the Bay Area, where they have youth-led conferences and events, and to build a safe space for these young people to gather and really support each other. I also want to welcome some very special people here today. It's Mother's Day, and my daughter is here, and my wonderful son-in-law. Her name is Erin, Gail's daughter, and has been for a very long time. And welcome Olivia back. That's very exciting. Back from her first year in college. It's really, really, really special. So being Mother's Day, I want to welcome all the mothers here and everyone who ever had a mother. You're welcome. Now, a bunch of you are with us via Zoom, so wave to the Zoomers. Hi, folks. It's really nice to see you. Glad you're here. And welcome. And some of you are joining us through the magic of time travel and are watching us in the future on our YouTube channel. So welcome. Welcome. We're glad you made it. It's the beauty of all of this. Now is when I would remind you to silence your cell phones. And just to say that today, as we continue our journey toward awakening curiosity, here we are in a country split by deep differences in beliefs about what it takes to make America the nation our founders designed. The difference is so wide that it takes courage to even consider having meaningful conversations across that divide. Some of us here at UUCM are working together to learn to use a skill set called deep dialogue across differences, developed by UU community minister Reverend Kat Cox. These tools are helping us in our quest to be curious about our role in healing this divide. What is our role? And on the way, we're learning new and interesting things about ourselves, not surprisingly. We're also learning how to apply those skills in our own lives, not just in the political world. Every day with friends, family, people we're encountering just in light or more difficult ways. Today we're going to share some of what we've learned. But first, let's greet each other. This is a weekly ritual of pandemonium where we give a hearty howdy to the folks around us and let them know we're glad they're here and we're glad they're with them. We all have different ways we like to be greeted. Some like a nice handshake, some want a hug, some kind of like a shy smile, whatever. Most of us really like to be acknowledged that we're here. So please take a moment, stand up, say hello, move around a little bit. When we would like you to return to your seats, the piano will start playing.
Good morning. We focus our theme-based land acknowledgement this week on our curiosity about how to take our concerns for our Nisenan neighbors beyond acknowledging our county's disregard of their rights. We are awakening our curiosity about our roles in helping them restore their federal tribal recognition. Yes, we do acknowledge that we are visitors and residents on land they never ceded. And yes, we acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible after generations of erasure and exclusion from California's history. Those acknowledgments call us to ponder with curiosity, intention, and action how we can most powerfully provide resources of time and treasure to redress those wrongs and take those through to action. These acorns, do I have the acorns? These acorns from black oak trees placed on our altar each week are a symbol of our commitment to move beyond acknowledgement to action.
Good morning. Eric Fromm, sociologist, humanistic philosopher, democratic socialist, and author of The Art of Loving, offers these words with which we light our chalice to bring light into the darkness of deep dialogue across difference. Here's a bit of what he shares. One fact I have learned about life: when we are hurt in a relationship, when we are spinning in the blooming, buzzing confusion of sense-making, the explanation we elect as correct usually has more to do with our own fears and vulnerabilities than it does with the reality of the situation. Almost always, that explanation is wrong. Almost always, the true explanation has more to do with the fears and the vulnerabilities roiling in the other person invisibly to us.
This is for lighting our candle of compassion, resistance, and resilience. The ultimate goal of our work together is peace. Each week, week after week, we acknowledge the challenging times in which we live by lighting a candle to shed light on the importance of compassion. Compassion for those being hurt and compassion for those doing the hurting. That we may all find our way to truth. The importance of resistance as we stand strong against the stings of cruelty, lies, and greed. And importance of cultivating resilience as we work to strengthen our ability to adapt, recover, and grow stronger from the challenges we face.
Today, we return again to this month's theme of awakening curiosity. It's worth noting both words. It's easy to say our theme is curiosity, but what about the other word, awakening? Are you curious about why that was chosen? Scott Taylor's introduction to this month's Soul Matters materials gives us a hint. It says, there's a type of curiosity that's about enjoyment and adventure. This way of understanding curiosity invites us to experience life as a playground. We need that. And when we look closely at our lives, we realize there's another type of curiosity at play. This kind leads us not into playgrounds, but into dark alleys and pathless woods. It demands not just our attention, but our courage. It's not interested in entertaining us with the wonders of the world. Instead, it wants us to enlist in the work of the world. This is the type of curiosity that we'll explore today with our invitation to carry the light of deep dialogue across differences into those dark alleys and pathless woods. I wonder if Gail forgot the Wonder Box. Oh. It's itty bitty. And thank you, Catherine, for lighting the lantern that goes with it. Hi, sweetheart. Just a minute. I got to peek first, okay? Oh, bummer. Because it wouldn't make it past this spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes, Eleonora, inside one box. And you get to carry it? I'm so happy. Here you go, sweetheart. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ah. High on the curiosity list of most of us is why anybody thinks what's happening in this country is okay. Kevin has guided us along the path to process our dismay, to help us grieve, to stand up and say, not okay, and to be a healing force by reaching out to those across the divide. Reaching across the divide is not easy for any of us, even if the divide is as simple as a conflict with a loved one, a friend, let alone massive conflict that impacts every part of our future in life. As a longtime student of healthy communication, I've built a library, this is part of it, of books on sources of wisdom and strategies on that very subject, including, among others, Marshall Rosenberg's Nonviolent Communication, Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and the Arbinger's Institute Leadership and Self-Deception, ancient Buddhist wisdom, all valuable pieces of the puzzle, and many, many more. Not surprisingly, the key concepts appear repeatedly, starting as far back as the ancient Buddhist wisdom. Concepts like the importance of being genuinely curious about the conflict. Start that over. The importance of genuine curiosity about the perspective of the other in a conflict or controversy. What do they actually see through their eyes, the lenses that they look through? Second, that deeply listening to the other with the intent of fully listening to fully understand what things look like through their lens. It's much more common for us to be listening to get our rebuttal ready than to listen to truly understand. So I'll say that again, listening deeply to the other with the intent to fully understand things, how they look through their lens. And then, equally as important, noticing the stories we tell ourselves about why someone thinks or behaves in the way they do, and then taking time to find out if those stories are true. Well over a year ago, Reverend Kevin brought Reverend Kat Cox, a UU minister, community minister, to do a workshop on deep dialogue across differences. Reverend Kat, or Kat as she's invited us to call her, is a UU minister who offers spiritual guidance and training with special expertise in the skills of deep dialogue across differences, including practices of deep listening, conflict resolution, collaborative decision-making, both for individuals and for groups. Many of us attended that workshop. The idea of reaching across divide is intimidating for those of us who tend to be conflict avoidant in our personal lives. So we saw the importance, but how could we even begin when the chasm of political differences is so wide, so seemingly treacherous? How to even begin something that seems impossible and, to be honest, for many, undesirable. Many of us were Courage and curiosity are so close in my mind. Curious enough to attend. And soon after, Reverend Kevin invited any of us who wanted to take our learning deeper to join him in a study group to that end. About a dozen of us have been meeting monthly, learning more and more, not just about dialogue, but about ourselves as we work to internalize this work. Reverend Kat is giving us a priceless gift, her own compilation of practical wisdom gained from her deep study of nonviolent communication and many other sources. Given my own study in the same area, I can truthfully say that Kat's perspective is the most comprehensive and actionable that I've come across. It's just too good not to pass a bit of what Kat has shared with us, with you. So let me start with those key concepts that show up in all the sources of this kind of work. I'll repeat them in the form of questions. When you encounter thinking or behavior that you don't agree with, how often are you curious, truly curious, what in their life might have caused them to think or behave that way? And when someone's expressing in words or behavior or expressions ideas that you just don't agree with, how often do you listen deeply to hear their needs and their feelings underneath what they're telling you? And how quickly do you jump to a conclusion about why they behave that way? Even more importantly, do you believe the story you've told yourself? So let's peek into one such story. Two of our deep dialogue study group, Joyce Wilson and Jax, will act the part of a scenario that will be familiar to those of you who know the work of Dr. Stephen Covey. I will act as the narrator. You'll notice that they're on a subway, correct? Microphones on subways are sometimes a little tricky. One Sunday morning, a New York person, we'll call her Jane, was in a peaceful subway car where people were quietly reading, resting. The atmosphere was suddenly shattered when a woman with her loud, disruptive children entered the subway car. The children were so loud and rambunctious that immediately the whole climate changed. The children were yelling back and forth, throwing things, and even grabbing the passengers' newspapers. Yet, their mom, sitting next to Jane, did nothing. This mother sat there with her eyes closed, seemingly oblivious, and doing nothing to stop them. It was impossible for Jane not to feel irritated. She couldn't believe that mother was so insensitive as to let her children run wild like that and do nothing about it, taking no responsibility at all. It was easy to see that everyone else on the subway felt irritated too. So finally, Jane, with what she felt was unusual patience and restraint, turned to the mother and said,
I'm sorry, but your children are just totally out of control. They're running around, throwing things, yelling, even bumping into other passengers, and they're disturbing a lot of us in this subway car.
The mother lifted her gaze as if to come to consciousness of the situation for the first time and said softly,
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry. I probably should do something. We just got back. We're headed home from the hospital where the children just lost their father. I lost my spouse. And I don't know what to think. I think they don't know what to do either.
Take a moment to ponder these questions. Was Jane curious about what might be going on in the mother's life that caused her behavior? What story do you think Jane immediately told herself about why the mom was ignoring the kid's behavior? Did that story change when the mom spoke? Kat shared with us her underlying principles of the deep dialogue. Taking time to really grasp them is what opened my door to the power of this particular skill set and why it works. Are we still on? Yeah. She starts out by saying that all human behavior. Oh, yeah. Okay. She starts by telling us that all human behavior is driven by universal human needs. All our behavior driven by universal human needs. We all draw from the same well. Needs like autonomy, sense of belonging, connection. We know what we missed during the pandemic, for instance, connection, contribution, creativity, meaning, mutual care, peace, play, safety, support, trust, well-being, many more. Do you recognize any of those needs in yourself? Then she tells us that those needs are what drive our actions and behaviors. That is, what we say and what we do are driven by those human needs. And very quickly, without thinking, we come up with strategies to help us meet those needs. Those are the behaviors, are the strategies. Think about the mom in this scenario. Clearly, she was suffering from the tragic death of her husband, a devastating loss of connection, peace, sense of safety, well-being. She met the loss of those very basic human needs by collapsing into herself, not even able to notice her children's behavior. The children, too, were acutely experiencing a devastating loss. We saw the strategies they used to distract themselves from their feelings. Kat emphasizes that conflict is always at the level of strategies, not at the level of universal human needs. We all have them. It's at the level of strategies that we are unconsciously choosing to meet our human needs. We don't stop to think about it. It happens. Add to that principle the fact that awareness is almost always on the level of strategies and blind to needs. We're not thinking about what that needed. We're thinking about how we're going to survive. When I get annoyed, for instance, I don't spend time pondering which of my needs have not been met. I go right to the strategy that pops up. Maybe sulking, maybe bestowing the look, maybe even raising my voice. Now, here's the big one. Strategies are based on the stories we concoct to make sense of why things are happening. Our perception of what's happening is based on our underlying beliefs. What have we talked about? What have we learned over the time? We talked about some of that last week. So think about the story Jane might have told herself about why the mom was not paying attention to her unruly kids. Probably had some coming along. These stories are based on our entire life experience. And so, by the way, are the stories of those with whom we're in conflict. So our strategies arrive instantaneously and translate into stories about the why of the other person's behavior. He just thinks I'm really stupid, or she'll do anything to be in control, or they just think they're too good to lift a hand to help. We've all got plenty of examples of those stories we've told ourselves to explain other people's behavior. We believe the stories we tell ourselves, and have feelings based on the story we've told ourselves. What feelings came up in Jane when she believed her story that the mom was inconsiderate and irresponsible? What feelings came up when you thought that was true, if you did? Thich Nhat Hanh says it this way: much of our suffering comes from wrong perceptions, wrong stories. To remove that hurt, we have to remove the wrong perception. How? More on that later. The final deep dialogue principle circles around to the first. Our feelings, which are based on the stories we tell ourselves, depend on whether or not we believe we can get our needs met. Let's run that vignette about the mom and Jane through these principles. And feel free to speak out loud the answers to the questions I will ask. What human needs do you think drove the mom's behavior? Grief. Terrible loss. Shock. Overwhelm.
Fear.
Insecurity. There was one I missed there. Fear, yes, okay. And what action did she take on the subway to meet her needs? Went inside, withdraw? Yeah. Closed off. So what human need drove Jane's response? Irritation. Yeah, autonomy. Peace. And what action did Jane choose to meet her needs? Confrontation. Implied criticism. Assumption. Absolutely. Again? Yep. Shame. That's a strategy. What story did you tell yourself? And did anything change for you after you heard the real story? Do you think anything changed for Jane? Yeah. So let's run through that vignette again using some of the deep dialogue techniques. One Sunday morning, Jane was having a peaceful subway ride when the peaceful atmosphere was suddenly shattered as a woman with her loud, disruptive children entered the subway car. You know the details. It was very disturbing, and yet the mom did nothing, just sat there with her eyes closed, seemingly oblivious to what was happening. Curious, Jane spoke to the mom and said,
Excuse me for a moment. Is there something that I could do to help you with your children? I taught school for many years, and I could gather them for a short story or maybe a quiet game, if that would work for you.
The mother lifted her gaze as if to come to consciousness for the situation for the first time and said softly,
Yes, thank you. I know something needs to be done. We're just returning from the hospital. They've lost their father. And I don't know what to think, and I don't think they know what to do. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'd be happy to just take care of your children for a moment so you could gather your thoughts and feelings.
enough words. Perhaps some soothing music is what we need, with a small musical interlude. Because what we've just shared has much to ponder, we're going to go into a guided meditation. I'd like you to make yourselves comfortable and as open as feels right to you. Perhaps close your eyes and join me in taking deep, healing breath, breathing in deeply and breathing out fully. And another. And perhaps one more, making sound as you breathe out if it feels right to you. Now, I invite you to think of a time you had a conflict or difficulty with another person, younger or older, someone close to you or someone not. Take a moment to recall the interaction with that person. Hone in to what you remember about them in that interaction. Can you hear the tone of their voice? The expression on their face, their body language, their words? If words were spoken, be with that for a moment. Now notice how you felt and how you are feeling in that memory. What was or is your perception of what was happening with that person? We are sense-making beings. What sense did you make from that person's stance? Given your interpretation, the sense you made of it, and the feelings that arose from that interpretation, what did you do next? That is, what strategy did you take to try to get your needs met? Now go back to the moment you were recalling and imagine being curious, not certain about their life story and their current emotional challenges. Imagine that you and that person share some universal human needs, because you do. But each take different actions to meet those needs, actions coming probably from instantaneous strategies that they have learned throughout their lives. Ponder how seeking to understand their life story might have changed the story you tell yourself about their behavior. It might also change how you interact with them. Dwell with these thoughts for a moment. And as you ponder, join us in singing Return Again. Hymn 1011, we'll sing it through 2 times.
Return again.
And as you sit with the message you've just given yourself, you're invited to join in our ritual of joys and sorrows, coming forward if you choose to pick a stone or stones and drop them in the bowl of water to represent the concerns and joys you carry today. The bowl and water represent this community and how you are held as the ripples of your concerns and joys join the ripples of others. For those of you on Zoom, if you wish, you may type into the chat your concern or joy, or type an O to parallel the placing of a stone. Please come forward as you are ready. I've placed a few more stones to represent joys and sorrows that we hold in our hearts, unspoken this morning. Now, let's peek into the first of 5 steps in the deep dialogue process. We won't have time to go into them all today, but we'll share an invitation that you can do that in the future or with Kat herself right now. Well, not right now, but today we'll revisit what Kat calls the inner work of self-connection. This is another way to speak an often repeated mantra of mine. I am the only person I have any power to change. Find my part in this problem and address that. No matter how small, I'm in there somewhere. It's made a big difference every time that I do that. Sometimes it's been the story I've told myself about them, which in turn is a survival strategy that I've developed, training myself over time to instinctively use that strategy to get my needs met. I have noticed that there can be similarities in the problems that I have, similar to others. Interesting how the same problem can pop up in different forms. Maybe it's time for me to bring that strategy to conscious awareness and find a better one. Whatever I discover makes a huge difference. Given that we are sense-making beings, we quickly tell ourselves stories that help us make sense of what just happened. He thinks I'm stupid. That really proves how greedy she is. Or they'll do anything to get their way, and I'm not going to let them. And then I have feelings based on the stories, just like Jane did in the subway. But here's the deal. As I said before, our feelings are based on whether or not we believe we can get our needs met. Our feelings are based on whether or not we believe we can get our needs met. The same is true of the people that we are in conflict with. Think about, for instance, the MAGA person who truly believes that horrible things will happen to them and this country if we who think differently change the balance in Congress and pass laws that will destroy the country they treasure and put their ways of life and their life themselves at risk. Safety is a universal human need, one that drives many of their behaviors. Their feeling of fear and anger are based on concern that their needs for safety will not be met. How different is that from our human need for safety? Earlier I shared that CAT's underlying principle is that awareness is usually not at the level of strategy, is usually at the level of strategies and blind to needs. So a key step here is to shift from focusing only on our own need for safety to mutual needs so that we can find strategies that meet the needs of all. CAT suggests we begin with the deep work of self-connection. This is inner work. I call it the inside job. We need to ask what story we're telling ourselves about the situation we're in, or that the community is in, or our family. Now, mind you, those stories come from a survival storybook that we have been developing for years and likely inherited from our parents and other ancestors. Noticing the story we're telling ourselves is not an easy step. Be kind and patient with yourself as you do this. What does it mean to you that you're having this experience? And notice that you will have a story immediately that comes up. CAT invites us to witness that story, to hold it lightly, and just envision walking around it and looking at it so that they could open up a possibility of shifting. Again, she would have us check into the feelings that the situation brings up. Anger, defensiveness, fear, joy. Do we feel hopeful or not? Do we find ourselves reacting? In all of this, she suggests we approach from the perspective of conscious awareness, witnessing and noticing what arises in ourselves. And finally, we want to go back to the needs and values and ask ourselves, in this situation, what needs to be an acceptable solution? What needs would they have to satisfy, an acceptable solution to satisfy? What values of mine would they have to fulfill? What do I need to find resolution? It is the core of the process of deep dialogue that we not abandon our own needs, and values. We will not abandon ourselves. Once we can truly trust that we will not abandon ourselves, then we can dare to open ourselves to the needs of others. We have to feel that ourselves. That will take us into skills of the inner work of finding empathy, of listening and offering empathy, self-expression, and discovering solutions that benefit everyone. But you'll have to wait until we bring Kat back in the fall or reach out to her yourselves. She'd love to hear from you, and here's where you can find her. Just Google Path of Joy, you find all of that. She'd love to hear from you now, and we will bring her back. Now prepare for some beautiful music.
Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other. Yet we are entwined with one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. We are different instruments playing our own melodies, each one tuning to a different key. Yet we are all playing in harmony, in one great symphony. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love. A moment ago, still we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the spirit in me greets the spirit in thee, in one great family. Weave us together, weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, weave us together, together in love.
Read from the teleprompter and just.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Tracy. Uh-oh. This is a reading from, oh gosh, we lost our notes, so I'm going to read this to you. I'm not going to name who said it because, no. I come on Sunday feeling weary, having worn out the snooze button on my alarm clock. I come on Sunday feeling frightened, having seared my eyes reading the latest news. I come on Sunday feeling burdened, having fretted about my daily worries. But I leave Sunday service feeling refreshed, having been renewed by the spirit of love in the community that exists here. I leave Sunday service feeling whole, feeling lifted up by the words of righteous challenge. I leave Sunday service feeling energized, ready to continue our fight for peace and justice. This haven, this refuge, this place of worship and wonder exists because we make it so, with our contributions, the gifts of our time, our skills, our food, our love, our laughter, and our money. Please join me in giving so that we may continue to have a place that fortifies and challenges us in these trying and troubled times. Today, 50% of your gift, actually this month, will go to support the work of Interfaith Food Ministry when food prices are making having enough out of reach for more and more of our neighbors. During the month of May, all financial gifts will be doubled by generous donors, making our gifts even more powerful. Today's offering is dedicated to Interfaith Ministry, whose work reminds us that compassion and connection are sacred acts. As we reflect on this morning's theme, may we remember that true courage is found not only in speaking, but in listening deeply, staying open-hearted, and choosing understanding over division. May these gifts help place food on the tables of neighbors in our community and remind members in this community that they are seen, cared for, and not alone. Through simple acts of generosity, compassion becomes visible. With gratitude, we dedicate this offering. Blessed be.
Many people to thank, many moving parts. All of our readers and role players today were part of the Deep Dialogues study group. So Jazz and Joyce and Yvonne wanted to, but she didn't get to. Maureen, Tracy, and Rain in the first service as well. Really quite wonderful. Thank you all for the work that you're doing and the way in which you are helping me grow. Musicians, wow, I love it when a harp comes in the room. Thank you so much, Betsy and Linda. You guys really work well together, and I love when I get to be in one of your services. So we have Andy and Cypress back there doing their magic. Really good job, you guys. Thank you so much. Eileen, chat host, invisible to us, but really, really important to everyone who gets able to stay connected with us through Zoom. Shanti, beautiful, beautiful flowers and service, amazing. We had our greeters today, Jim and Shanti in the first service, Jean and Carl in the second service. Hi, Carl, how are you? I see you. Refreshments, Michael Bankston and Gwen and Ellen, and up in Kids Connection, Corey Silva and Cheryl Spalding. Magic happens up there, you know. This week, lots of stuff, a lot of packing and dusting and moving. But with all of that still, Women's Circle tomorrow, volunteer time at Interfaith Food Ministry, if you would like to be part of that, the Humanist Discussion Group, and the last Buildings and Grounds Workday on this property, which actually we don't own anymore. And this morning I mentioned SpiritCon. What a hoot for all of us to be with them, and how soul inspiring to realize this large number of young people who really know a path to help them have the life that they deserve. And check us out at uugrassvalley.com. New things all the time, with so many moving parts right now, with our move being very, very soon. You'll be glad that you checked it out. So our closing song is very special. It was written by Betsy. It's something that has been percolating for a long time and has come into deeper and deeper focus over the years and into its final form for us today. Thank you for that.
I have been blessed at times when beauty never ends, gathering love from family and friends. At times my courage was shaken, joy was taken from me, but hope doesn't fade. Today I can sing, love is here, love is here, within, without, love is here, love lives here, love lives here, in me, in you, in us, no doubt, love lives here. Have you been blessed at times when wonder never ends, gathering wisdom from family and friends? At times your faith might be shaken, maybe your health was taken from you, but hope doesn't fade. Today can you say, joy lives here, joy lives here, within, without, joy lives here, joy lives here, joy lives here, in me, in you, in us, no doubt, joy lives here. May we be blessed with the time when peace never ends, gathering strength from family and friends. At times our lives are shaken, loved ones taken from us, but hope doesn't fade, and today we can say, peace lives here, peace lives here, within, without, peace lives here, peace lives here, peace lives here, in me, in you, in us, no doubt, peace lives here, joy lives here, joy lives here, within, Joy lives here. Joy lives here. Joy lives here. In me. In me. In you. In you. In us. In us. No doubt. Joy lives here. Love. Love lives here. Love lives here. Within. Within. Without. Without. Love lives here. Love lives here. In me. Love lives here. In me. In me. In you. In you. In us. No doubt. Love lives here. Love lives here.
Our closing words come from Eric Fromm and Stuart Levine. And so, says Eric Fromm, sense-making and storytelling creatures that we are, we move through the real world in a self-generated dream, responding not to reality, but to the stories we tell ourselves about what is true. Stories at best incomplete and at worst injuriously incorrect. Stories about what we do and what we don't deserve. Stories the cost of which is connection, trust, love. This is why without charity of interpretation and without candor, the vulnerability of it, the courage of it, the kindness of it, without all of this, all relationships become a ricochet of unspoken resentments based mostly on misapprehended motives and crumble. And then consider the balm of curiosity, as Stephen Levine suggests, honoring feelings when we're in a disagreement with other people, giving people the opportunity to tell their story from beginning to end, recognizing that the other person was probably trying to do the best they were. So giving the opportunity for our compassion, empathy, and love to arrive. May it be so as we extinguish our chalice and carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. See you next week for Wonders of Rediscovery.